Welcome to this week's Ask EMBN. We're going to be tackling your difficult questions. I'm going to do my best, but we have got an expert, Chris Smith, so no problems. We've got lots to talk about this week. We're going to be talking about e-bike sizing and battery transportation, which I think just happened upstairs.
Sounds like somebody dropped something.
Yes. So we'll be looking into that, and we're going to start with the e-bike sizing question straight away. This one from Rachel Gurin. She says, I'm thinking of buying a Vita Summit e-bike, but she's concerned about the size because she's only 5'5". Say only, it's not that short. No. But going by what you guys have said about that bike, it is on slightly the bigger size. Now, is that something she needs to think about when she's interested in that bike?
Well, it is a really nice bike. We did a recent ride with Adam Brayton out in the lakes, and he was absolutely flying on that bike. But as you say, it does come out on paper a little bit bigger than the rest of the manufacturer's bikes. 455mm reach on the medium Vitus versus the 435mm reach on the Specialized Levo and the medium as well. So 20mm difference there, but it's not, there's so many different adjustments you can make.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to think the best way to work out if a bike's the right size for you is to ride it. And there's all sorts of options. Obviously, you've got rolling the bars back or shorter stem. That setup of the cockpit is going to be really crucial to how you feel on the bike. And then obviously you've got to think about the wheelbase, how's it actually going to ride? And so I would say you can't beat riding the bike, and really seeing if it fits you, because on paper it just doesn't tell you enough.
No, of course. And there's also saddle adjustment. Don't forget that. You can slide the saddle forward and back in the rails as well. Could shorten that top tube by quite a bit actually on the reach. True. But definitely, as Mark says, get along to a demo day. Actually get out riding that bike is the best way to know if that's going to fit you.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about demo days, we've done a video just about that, so take a look to get an idea of what it's all about.
How then do you approach your first demo e-bike event? Chris, what did you take to your first demo?
Take some photo ID, a credit card, pedals, and of course your riding kit, and a notebook. Don't forget your notebook, Steve.
But also you need to be furnished a little bit of information about sizing, about models, about brands, and of course the motor. Chris, come on, let's get in here.
Love demo days. Love them. So much fun. So much fun. You come away from them, though, really excited, and you've probably fallen in love with a bike, though.
Yeah, I'm walking out there with an empty wallet. It's the worst thing.
Good, though. Good fun. Next question is from Paul in Northampton. This is a good subject, actually. He's saying, what do you do when you're a newbie? How do you work out what trail to ride, basically? Because you get there and there's this grading system. And he's saying, could there be a blue and a red trail guide, or an introduction trail, or a newbie trail guide? Well, there kind of is, isn't there? There kind of is one. But what would you do, Chris? What would you recommend a newbie rider do when they're going to ride some trails, and how they work out which trail is for them?
Well, first things first, I'd get used to your e-bike, literally riding it around outside the house, get used to the different power settings, how your brakes work, how everything works on that bike.
Get the basics.
Then step it up. If you're going to ride natural trails, it's actually a little bit harder than it is to ride like a trail centre. Might be a little bit more intimidating going to a trail centre in front of everyone, but they're actually going to be, to say, a lot more safer because they're manufactured trails. They've taken out all those big rocks and roots and low-hanging branches, things like that will catch you out on natural trails. So get to there, learn how to ride the bike, and then obviously start off with the blues, reds, then blacks as well. It might be a diamond system, but check out the notice board when you arrive, because that'll have all the trail gradings and which trail is going to be suitable for you. Go from there, really.
It can be intimidating going to those bike parks, can't it? But definitely. It is worth doing it. It is worth doing it. Because there's a lot of support there, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Get a bit of rider's help, a bit of insight from everyone else.
Yeah, that's a good tip. That is a good tip. Right, next question. Mark Baines, what do you do about flying with e-bike batteries? What's the ruling?
Basically, you can't fly with any e-bike battery at the minute. Every airline's banned them at the moment. Best way is to either look at the location you're going to be travelling to, try and get in touch with a local bike shop. A lot of people are actually renting batteries and chargers out as well. So, as I say, get there, rent a battery, or you can obviously just drive there with your e-bike in the back of your car. Or if you're flying there, you could obviously just fly with your e-bike, rent the battery, or just rent a whole e-bike out when you're there.
Yeah, that's a good option. That's a good option. Yeah, but it's difficult, isn't it? You just can't try. You can't fly with those batteries. Right, Miguel Angelo says, I'm planning to buy a Scott E Genius 700 2018. Basically, the shop where I'm buying this bike tell me the size medium is perfect for him, but he's 6 foot tall. So that does sound a bit big for a medium. I wonder if the frame is not too small. Could be. I've tried the bike for 10 minutes. It felt okay, but could do with some professional advice, basically, Chris. So what do you think? I think that sounds Not that sounds like a small frame for a 6 foot.
Alarm bells would be ringing, I would say,
Tall
for a
dude, yeah.
medium frame. If you're 6 foot tall, I would, I'm around that. I'm a little bit over that, and I ride a large, which is I'm right on the border of large and extra large on most manufacturers. So yeah, a medium would definitely be way too small. But again, I think either get along to a demo or check out the geometry online and make your mind up that way. It's
really difficult if you're not riding the two sizes side by side to really tell the difference.
Yeah.
And if it's a fresh bike and you're just getting on it, the sizing is really hard to work out.
Yeah.
But it really makes a difference when you've got a bike fitted to the right size.
Yeah.
On paper, I think you sound like a large. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
But Steve's done an actual video on making sure you get the right size e-bike, and that's playing on screen now.
So my general kind of recommendation then, as a baseline, is that if you're 6 foot or over, you should usually be on an XL. If you're 5'10" to 6 foot, you should be looking at a large. If you're under 5'9" on a medium, and if you're under 5'5", you should be on a small. So it's big generalization, and we'll get into the nitty gritty later on.
Brett Kerwin's up next. Are you ready, Brett? This is your question. Is it possible to carry an e-bike on a boot rack, something like the Saris Bone RS? I can't get a tow bar one as they'll need to cut my bumper. Don't want to do that. No. He has a 2017 Levo. Any help would be great. Hey, I tell you what that's got me thinking about. It was a really good idea. You remember when on EMBN, Neil borrowed an Aston Martin?
Is that your brother?
No, because they're two different words to my name, but anyway.
Right.
And he had to put a bike on it. He was trying to see if it was the worst bike carrying car in the world ever. And he used these things called sea suckers.
All right.
And he could just sucker the bike on the roof. That could work, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could work, I suppose. I'd double check the weight rating on that, but I think a few people do actually use those for e-bikes. Another one that caught my eye was the Inno fork mount. It's basically a roof mounted system.
Yeah.
But it's got a 23 kilo weight limit on there, basically. So you're going to need to remove the battery and your front wheel. So you should be below that weight limit with an e-bike. But that's one I'd definitely check out. As Rally also do a bike rack, which is rated to 65 kilos as well for carrying. So you can get a couple of e-bikes on that. But check those ones out online. That's my best advice for that.
Yeah, no, I definitely will look at the weight limits, because I guess the only way you find out if you've gone too heavy is you arrive somewhere with no bike.
Or you see it bouncing off in your
Yeah,
rearview
so
mirror. Not a good look.
scary. Yeah, that did happen to me once.
Really?
In America, yeah, all the cars came,
Oh,
bikes
right,
came
okay.
off the top of the roof. Topsy Kretz is asking, how long after buying a new bike should you give it a tune-up, Chris?
Well, I reckon probably after your first ride. I think just a basic M check on that bike. So starting at the rear mech, rear axle, obviously tyre pressures, tyres inspection, then move up to your seat post, down to the bottom bracket, checking motor bolts, crank bolts, pedals, move up to your headset. That's something that can come loose quite easy. Obviously on the forks, adjust that if needed. Then a quick bolt check on your handlebars and controls. Then move down to the front wheel and the front brake. So it's basically an M on your bike if you don't know what M check is.
Got you.
Or a little bounce check, bounce it up and down, and usually if something's loose you'll hear it rattling. It's a really good way of picking up that. That's my favourite things: headset, rear axle, rotor bolts and crank bolts. I think it's the main things to come loose on those first rides.
Definitely, but I would always say, after most rides, you tend to just give your bike a little bit of a once-over all the time, don't you? Because checking things like pedals coming loose,
Exactly.
not noticing that can be very costly, because if you suddenly strip a thread or something.
Yeah. And obviously cable stretch as well. I forgot to say that on your gears. You might find that your gears aren't indexing quite as well, so you might just want to tweak the barrel adjuster on your shifter a little bit just to make up for that cable stretch.
Yeah. Right, now Ralph is saying, in the automotive world you can see batteries increasing capacity over a couple of years. It's all happening in the automotive industry, isn't it? The old battery world. Do you think we could get batteries with more capacity in eMTBs, which could be maybe retrofitted? So going from 500 watt hours up to a 750 watt hour one, just aftermarket.
Well,
is that something that could happen?
Yeah, definitely. Well, exactly that has been happening. If you check out the YT Decoy that was released recently, they've got the 500 watt hour battery in there at the minute, but they're developing a 704 watt hour battery that is long. It's basically the same length, but a thinner but fatter battery that's going to retrofit into there, so you can get more battery power. And obviously on the older Levos as well, you can fit a bigger battery, that 504 watt hour, retrofit that after the smaller battery that you would have had in there before. So it is definitely happening.
It's all going on.
Yeah, it's all going on.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because that really does change the performance of the bike so much. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the coming years, whether they'll really use that as an industry standard change where they're going to get people to upgrade
to
bigger batteries with newer bikes, or letting you retrofit. It's good to see that happening though.
Yeah, but that's it for this week's show. Really hope you've enjoyed it. But if you guys have got any questions you want to ask us here on Ask EMBN, hashtag Ask EMBN, drop that question in the comments box below and we'll get back to you ASAP.
Yeah, and I tell you what, just to prove what an expert this guy is on e-bikes, he took on a pro cross-country rider, and you can see that action in this video here. Click on that to see Chris take on Grant Ferguson, who is an absolute weapon. See what happened. Click on the globe to subscribe, and yeah, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, like. See you next time.